Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Bikini and the Brain podcast. My name is Ashley Kaltwasser, and I'm here with Adam Bonilla from TeamElitePhysique.com.
Yes, we are here, and we have another good episode for you guys. But first, before we go into that, Ashley just flew in from Hawaii.
Yes, very jet lagged right now. Can you tell?
I'm
not wearing bright colors.
Oh,
I'm wearing colors like yours.
Yeah.
I don't have makeup on. My hair's this. I haven't even brushed my hair in like 3 days. I haven't showered since Hawaii. Dead serious. Dead serious.
This is the roughest you'll see Ashley.
Yes, it's rough.
Not bad, Ashley. Not bad.
I'm trying to bring the energy for you guys, though. I just
Not
finished
bad.
a glute workout with Sam, so at least I got a little glute pump to carry me through.
Some women look significantly different in your scenario. You look just like Ashley. You look just like Ashley.
No, I look very different, Adam. Come on. You don't need it's okay. It's okay. I'm not, this is a great segue into this topic. I'm not,
segue.
You don't have to lie to me. I do look different, but that's okay because I'm a very confident person, so it doesn't bother me either way. I mean, you could also look at it like this. I wear makeup to look different, right?
Okay.
But
I guess makeup wouldn't be doing its job if you look the same, right?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm definitely not so much a fan of the natural makeup look either, so when I do makeup, it's usually like, rainbow colors, stuff like that. So.
Okay, well, exciting week for you. So this is, we're shooting this a week ahead when you guys will see it, but we are going into the Mile High this week.
Yes.
So you went to Hawaii, which what's funny is I was like not a fan of you going to Hawaii. I was like, whatever, it's just Ashley, she's gonna do it. Like she wants to travel.
Yeah.
And then she says to me, she's like, this is probably not the best idea to go like this close to a show. Maybe next time you could talk me out of it. I was like, yeah, I probably should have said something because it was really close to Hawaii. But.
So here's the thing, guys. I have, going back to a few podcasts ago, remember my rule? Anytime a good opportunity presents itself, you gotta go for it, no matter how inconvenient it is. This was a good opportunity to be part of an awesome seminar in Hawaii, and I got to meet so many amazing competitors, and in return I got motivated because they were happy to see me and I was happy to be there and be with my people. So in the end it was a good idea, but I will say when I sent you that text is because the flight was delayed. And every time I have a long flight this happens. It gets delayed, but it's the worst kind of delay. So I wouldn't mind so much if it was like delayed before we got into the plane. But every single time this scenario happens, we board, we start the engine, we're on the tarmac, and then they say they're having complications, but it's okay. They're waiting on paperwork. It should be 5 minutes. So we're all waiting in the seatbelt. No one can move. 15 minutes go by. Oh, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to take a little longer than we expected. Hang tight. Should be another few minutes. Next thing you know, we're there for an hour and a half. Not moving. Not moving at all. Can't go to the bathroom, nothing. No refreshment cart, nothing. And then they eventually were like, so I guess we need to replace the part. Everyone deboard the plane. So we get back in the gate. And then like 15 minutes later, they're like, oh, we got to fix. Come back on. I'm just like, oh my God. It's just like my 6-hour flight turned into like an 8-hour just sitting there. And you guys know I hate sitting still. I hate it. It's the worst. It's like I want to get up and walk and like be active, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, get me off this thing.
I didn't know it was only 6 hours to Hawaii from here.
Only, Adam?
I mean, well, Florida's like 4.
Well,
so like,
it's not. It's more than 6 hours, but the layover was in LAX. So technically it was longer than that even.
Okay, so you fly, okay.
So I flew out of LAX. So there was an hour layover in LAX, and also an hour flight to LA. So if you look at it like that, just a lot of
like
flights.
8 hours, and then a 9. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never been to Hawaii. I gotta actually go. That's not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, it's very tropical, very humid. I definitely felt like I was softer there too.
It's crazy how that happens. I think it's so for people to listen to too, because like for some reason when you're in humid areas, you get softer. Like your body just absorbs the water.
Yeah, you don't even have to wear lotion. Like when I was in Vegas, I was like, my skin was so dry because I was still trying to get that old tan off. Skin was so dry, scaling off. Even using lotion, it was still dry, and I could go like this and just like see all the skin come off. And when I got there, I'm like, I don't even need to use lotion. I'm so hydrated.
That's crazy.
So that was that. But I will say this though, I did a good job at staying on track with my workout. So at least that sleep's messed up. Sleep, oh my gosh. I was waking up at like 2:30 there, which would have been like 5:30 or 6:30 time here, I think.
That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part of the traveling.
Yeah. And then, but my body didn't know when to go to sleep. That's also, it was an issue. So the last few nights I was getting 4 hours of sleep, and then I think last night I got like 6 or 7 hours of sleep. So hopefully I get more tonight.
Try to catch up. Hopefully,
Yes.
hopefully we'll probably be tired enough to actually go to sleep at your normal
I'm
time.
actually wearing my pajamas right now, I'm not gonna lie.
Good. Yeah.
This is what I wore to bed.
Ashley's.
Actually, this is what I wore on the plane. And then I wore it to bed. and now I'm here.
And you were done. And you're here.
No,
Ashley's the biggest grandma
Oh,
I've
man.
ever met.
Hopefully this is okay.
I was one. See, I looked at you. I was looking funny since I was looking at the things. I was reading okay though.
Did it pick up okay?
Yeah, it's funny because if you look back at like 3 minutes, I was like, "Where's her mic?" I was like, "Where's her mic?" And I was looking at the readings, and the readings were showing up. So you should be okay.
Okay, so the thing about me is I speak so loudly.
Yeah, her mic's turned down.
I speak my voice is so boisterous. This is like ASMR.
Yeah.
This is ASMR. You know what ASMR is?
No.
It's where people whisper and it's supposed to be calming and give them tingles. So this is ASMR. I'm a very loud person.
You are.
So
Your mic is turned
I
down
didn't even need the mic.
lower than mine. We have two settings. But anyway, we're boring everyone. What is our topic today?
Hopefully
It's
don't
funny.
get the ruffles here.
I was looking
This
at.
is so professional, guys.
It's funny because I was looking at you and I was like, "Oh, it must be under her hair." Is what it must be because I was reading the readings were coming up at like 3
Well,
minutes. That's funny.
Whatever gets the job done, I guess. But yeah,
This
kids
one's
up
something
here.
you up to.
Yeah, you guys, sorry in advance if I'm foggy or sound like just so out of it. It's because I am
Jet lag.
very much so. I feel dumb today.
I
I just lost many IQ points. Like they just dropped off on the flight. If they're in the Pacific Ocean somewhere.
They'll come back when you get one good sleep. One good
Yeah.
sleep, they're right back. All right. So what's the topic for today?
Let's talk a little bit about confidence in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
How it can help your self-confidence or sometimes makes it a little worse,
Yeah.
depending on who you are.
Yeah. I think that I like this topic for many reasons because I'm a big believer that prep builds character. You know, it builds people. So yeah.
Absolutely. So I think that there's a certain type of person that's meant to do this sport. And I think typically those who go for a long period of time or are in the game for a while, they have a certain mindset. And it's kind of like you got to stay confident at some point, right? Because people who weren't, they probably would have dropped off, after the first few shows because it was too much of a mental strain on them because it can definitely mess with your head, I think not only are we talking about how your placings can fluctuate, but also your body too. And sometimes they're not used to seeing themselves super lean and then get softer and then super lean or softer. And ideally we don't want that fluctuate to happen anyway. But sometimes that can really mess with people's heads.
Yeah. And, for me, when it comes to shows and confidence is, I've said this, you probably heard me say it a couple times on the podcast, but one of the things I really like about is, contest prep is basically the journey of the contest prep, and you going through that journey really applies to all things in life. It's funny because it's kind of silly. You're like, hey, Adam, I'm just getting on stage in a bikini or whatever. It's not that deep. And I'm like, no, it is deep. It is because it's different than just getting on stage. The getting on stage part of it is really it's the funnest part, but it's the least memorable when it comes to you're going to remember the pain, the waking up, the eating the food, the going to sleep because you're tired, the this, the that. And the stage is a very small piece of that. It's the journey of it all.
Yeah.
And the accomplishing the goal and living up to your potential and doing a daily task every single day. That's the part, that's the part that when you walk off the stage, you're like, okay, it was worth it. It was, and it does. It builds your confidence. It builds your ability to trust yourself in enduring anything. And I really am just such a big fan of competing for everyone. I think that even if you're not the biggest fitness person, I think that there's nothing harder than competing in terms of discipline on a daily, and I think everyone should go through it. Because playing sports growing up, it was hard, but it was nothing like contest prep hard. Playing hockey at a high level, you trained really, really hard for 3 hours a day. But it wasn't, okay, you had to eat perfectly when you wake up. You had to do, it wasn't any of that. So the thing about contest prep is it's nonstop focusing on a goal.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take time off. Every day there's no time to take off. You have to sleep right, you have to eat right, you have to work out hard, you have to have energy when you don't have energy, you have to do all these things. So it gives you, at the end of it, you're like, okay, I can do anything if I can do that. And that's where I think the confidence comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do think that it has its negative side to it too,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I think the bad part of it, and why we talk about like the both sides of it, is you look like a Greek god, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're never, like when you're on stage, even if you don't win, you still look the best you've ever looked and been the most confident you've ever been. And you look like a Greek god, you know? You're not supposed to have abs like that. You're not supposed to look like that, right? And then, you know, when people get off track and they have no time-based deadline anymore, and there's just this like chaos of no order, right? They lose themselves, and then they can go the other way.
Right.
They can go and put on 20 pounds in 2 weeks, you know, and lose all that hard work, and that creates the confidence just lost right away.
Right.
You know, because they went from being a Greek god, I don't have a shirt that covers my stomach, to but let me wear a big baggy shirt, you know, in 2 week period. And we've all seen that happen too. So I think that you're really good at being a role model for people who, I think back in the day, like it was almost like there was role models for not staying in shape. You know, you had like your Lee priests, you had these guys that would like just blow up.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like almost like a pride thing behind it. You'd like laugh at it. You'd be like, look at how big Lee Priest got, you know? And now that that's like a thing of the past, I think that you're a real good representative of like, hey, staying in shape, staying lean, living lean, like that type of thing. So
Yeah, totally doable, totally possible. You know, schedule and consistency definitely has a big thing to do with it. But I would say my mindset, I think, is a little different from those who do kind of take a little too far in the off season. I look at it as like, I love myself so much, and I would never want to like harm my body by fluctuating drastically up and down, because we all know that's not good for your body. And my body has treated me very well so far, so I want to do it a favor and be easy on it, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's very hard on yourself whenever you go up, down, up, down. So, you know, anytime that I can do something good for my body, I try to do that. So that's why you'll see me not go too far off in the off season. I try to stay pretty lean. Obviously, I'm not like stage lean all year round, but I could still do like a fitness photo shoot and feel great about it, you know?
Yeah.
Stay within a few months, maybe 1 month of like competing at all times is a good rule of thumb for me, you know? I never want to go back to the time I was carrying like 25 pounds of extra fat on me. Not because I didn't think I looked good. It wasn't because I was not confident. It's just because I know for myself, like I can do better. I want to do the best for my body. So you know, different way to look at it. So I think a lot of people think the opposite and think that their body deserves a break, and then they just eat anything and not work out, right?
Yeah.
They deserve a break, and you definitely deserve a break, but in moderation, I think.
Yeah. And there's a lot of guys that are like that too. Kim's like that too now. And he was like, you know, if you gain only 10 pounds in the off season, and you lose 1 pound a week, then it takes you 10 weeks to get back into shape. And like that's kind of like the common sense route of things, you know, too. So it's like there's a lot of guys that are doing that now too, which is really cool how it's evolved to being like that way. So, but that's, you know, a little bit off topic, but I think that the weight gain causes, like the dramatic weight fluctuation causes the confidence issues. Because the problem is like once you obtain a look and you like looking that way, then anything less than that is now you're less confident.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part about it too. And that's why I think you're right. Like some people are meant for it and some people aren't. You cause problems, I think, for some. So I think there's a being realistic part of it too. You know, being stage ready all the time is not realistic for 99% of people out there. There are a couple people out there that I work with where I'm like, these are people I'm like, you're just a jerk. Like, why do you always look like that?
Yeah.
There's one guy I trained, and I didn't see him for like 3 months during the off season. A big Russian dude, remember him, Jeff? Mm-hmm. And I saw him, and he's like, what's up, coach? He's like, do I look bigger? I'm like, dude, you look way bigger. What happened? He's like, I've just been hitting hard. He put on 17 pounds and still had ab veins. I was like, dude, I hate you. I hate you so much. Yeah, 17 pounds. It's just pure craziness, you know? So like, there are those people out there, and you're likely not one of them. that's just the way it is. Life's not 100% fair, right? So, but for the most part, yeah, being, you know, I always say about 10 pounds above stage weight. I usually, for a good rule of thumb, is like 8% of your weight is like a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, so 10 pounds, it can be different on everyone, depending, are you are you 4'11" or are you like
Yeah.
5'11"?
If you're a 250-pound bodybuilder, 10 pounds is nothing.
Yeah.
You know, in that scenario, it would be like 20-ish, 25 pounds. That type of thing. So yeah, 8%.
And men and women different too.
Yeah, 8%. 10% is kind of pushing it, and I think that that's somewhere in that range is fair. Usually I try to shoot for like 6 to 8% if someone's active, and if someone's not active in season, it'll be like 8 to 10%. So if you're 120 on stage, 12 pounds, I think that's very realistic, So yeah.
Totally. And I think as well, what can also put a little hindrance on somebody's confidence and make them a little insecure is when maybe even outside voices talking to them. Like, for example, maybe a girl got lean for a show and she loves her body now, but her boyfriend, like most boyfriends out there, will say to them, I liked you better when you were softer. Which I totally understand, and I get that. Like, I don't, even me, I always say, like, I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. A lot of people would think I'm too lean for them, which is okay because I don't want them anyway. Believe me, I don't. But that they can get kind of these voices in their head, like their family or their boyfriend telling them, yeah, you looked better when you're softer. So that kind of plays with their mind a little bit. Like, I like myself leaner, but they like me softer. Am I too lean now? Am I ugly? Am I unattractive? And now maybe I should put on weight. And then it just kind of creates this like roller coaster of like being unsure, or maybe even develop some insecurities along the way.
Yeah, and that's and I think that anything less than there's a couple of reasons for that too. One is if, like, let's say your boyfriend's like not ripped and he's like soft, like his confidence is an issue too with that. Having and the other thing is maybe he just really just doesn't like it. But a lot of it is a confidence issue too. Like, if you're a little soft, like, you feel a little insecure around your girlfriend being all ripped all the time, you're like start pinching, you're saying like, man, I need to do something about this body fat, and then the other one is just that, maybe he doesn't like that. But that's how you look and how you feel best is you, and you don't need to conform to anyone's ideas of you. If you want to be softer, whatever. So it's everyone's cup of tea. But I feel like that whole pressure from outside needs to just be like, as long as you're healthy, you just do whatever is best for you.
Yeah.
And really, like, not let those voices get to you. Because if you get to like someone, like, if you get to Ashley's level, you're gonna have 50% of people who liked you when you're harder, and you have 50% of people who liked you when you're softer. And when she's ripped, the comments come in, oh, I liked you better when you were softer. When she's a little softer, it's like, oh, you really let yourself go. And it's like, you guys, like, no matter what, it's probably the same people too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, see, that's the thing too, is like the people we're talking about is like, people online, like people without a profile picture. Like, okay. It's like funny because I love how people give their opinions sometimes. Yeah. It's like, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm too lean for you. Oh my God, I'm devastated. I thought we were meant to be together, Mr. Dude without a profile picture. I'm devastated. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Oh my God. Oh my God.
I wouldn't even respond if they have like no posts and it's like an anonymous account. I just tell them I don't reply to anonymous accounts. Like, they'll ask me questions and stuff. Like, no, if you have a question to ask, you can ask me from your real account.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna, I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm not going to invest my time with someone who's got a fake account.
I mean, sometimes they're got like icons or something, but sometimes they do have their profile picture, which is fine too, but it's like, definitely not my type, let's just say that. But it's like, what we're trying to say is people will have an opinion of you either way.
Yeah.
Some people will really admire you for it, and some people won't find it as attractive. But at the end of the day, you got to kind of have a thick skin and go with what you feel is best for you. And, I think if you're a female competitor and you start to look more athletic and stuff, I think you will find more respect as well from other females that want to be just like you'll find. And maybe less of the creeper type.
Yeah.
Who knows? I can't tell you exactly who your following is and stuff, but I'm just saying, like, either way, do what makes you happy. Whether that be like a little softer or a little bit leaner, that's fine. Just, as long as you're healthy, that's what we're trying to get at. Gotta make sure we say that, because we don't want nobody putting on all the pounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Gotta stay healthy though.
Stay in the healthy
That's the rule.
Yeah, that was our last one.
Yes.
So, all right. So I think one of the things that I really like about competing and go back to is the confidence comes with. I think the confidence comes from two reasons. One, it comes from looking a certain way, but I honestly think confidence is more psychological than it is, physiological. I think that it's in someone's mind that they can accomplish this goal, that they succeeded, that they have purpose, you know. And I think that competing gives a lot of people purpose who are, you know, kind of looking for purpose. And it's funny is that when you have purpose, so there's this saying that says, like, it goes, he who has a why can endure any how. And when you have a why, so you have your purpose of competing, you can endure anyhow. And you see this happen in like sports, and you see this happen like all the time. There's this famous, you probably know because you were in gymnastics, the girl who like basically broke her ankle and still got like
Mary Lou Retton.
There you go. Okay, so
I think
let's go into that for a second,
Oof.
right? Because that's an amazing human accomplishment that is like it's you know, it's praised, but it's not. I don't think it's fully understood by most people. They just see, oh, this girl was brave and whatever, right? Well, so let's just, in case you haven't seen, because it is an older thing. It's really, really famous. Everyone should have seen it, I think, at one point. But this girl, I don't know if she broke her ankle. I don't know what. It was bad. Whatever it was, pulled tendon, something. It was really bad. And she was doing what do you call it?
vault.
The vault. And she needed to have, I forget what the score was. It was like a high score. It was like a 9 or something to like win. And she was limping. She was hobbling. She'd be like carried off when she did it. She hurt herself really bad. And so, but she was like, no, I'm going to do this because I have one chance to do this. This is my last try, and I need to hit this as perfect as I can. I'm going to endure anything I need to accomplish this goal. And the reason is that the goal was, you know, it numbed her from the pain, right? It was it's hard to explain.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, the adrenaline, but it's not just that. It's like I think they call it like analgesic, which is basically like it acts as a like it just basically buffers the pain because you're just so set on this goal. And I've experienced this at like a lower level, like a very lower level, and I think a lot of you have too. Like you'll be injured, you know, in like a hockey game, you play unless you're broken, you know, like that's just the way it is, you know. Like I've had my face cut open in a hockey game where I need a stitch in there. I literally taped it shut. Like I taped it so I could play. Like that's a normal thing in hockey, and it's like, why would you do something like that? It's because you're numb to the pain because the goal is so important, you know. And so when you see something like this, so this girl, she ended up, you know, everyone's on pins and needles in the audience, or seeing if she can hit this score. She can't even move. She goes, she hits a joust. She hits like the perfect thing. She hobbles on one leg because she can't stand on her other foot. Who knows how the hell she did it? And the crowd erupts, and she gets a score and she wins, right? And it's like, gosh, what a human marvel that was. Like, what a beautiful story that was. That we're so lucky to be able to witness what the human potential is. It's just such a definition right there of what human potential and what limits we set on ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at like contest prep obviously on a lower scale, you have to endure a lot of shit, you know. It's tough, like, but if your why is worth more than the pain it costs to endure that, then the pain it costs to endure that is really nothing, you know. And that's the same thing with, like, you see it in sports all the time where someone's injured and they play either way, you know. And it's like, well, no, the goal's worth more than that. The goal's worth more than that. So the thing is, with I think when we talk about accomplishing the goal and getting to the goal, we're so focused on the goal that you can endure anything, right? Mm-hmm. But you think that this goal is going to be what's worth it. And they've studied this, and they find that the goal and getting to the goal is not the worth it part. Like, all the positive emotion you get is never going to be the consequence of you getting to actually you accomplishing the goal. All the positive emotion you get is the journey along, the small things every day to get towards the goal, but not accomplishing the goal. And you see this happen all the time. Like, you'll see guys, and I don't know, maybe you've done it because you've been a world champion 3 times, and I mean, an Arnold Classic champion 2 times, and pro champion 25 times, right? So, like, I don't know if it's ever been, like, maybe you've endured it, where, you know, I've never been at the level where I can say I've endured it, you know, I think I would need more to say that, you know. So, like, you see it happen when people accomplish these goals and they're like, now what? Okay, now what? Like, everything until they accomplished that goal had purpose, and then they did it and they're like, well, shit, what do I do now? And they're in this, like, stream of, like, just chaos that is no definition of what they should do with their life at that point. And that's what happens after shows too, right?
Yeah.
But you're forgetting the journey was it. Forgetting the chicken breast for the 26th time in a week it was worth it. It was the enduring, it was the process of that, and you're making yourself better. And that's what's, I think, which is such a beautiful thing with competing, you know? And I think that is what you carry in through life, and I think that's what you carry through in confidence, and it builds your confidence for like any task you have, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like on a resume, if you're going to apply for some big job, and they usually ask you a question, like, when I worked at 24 Hour Fitness, I was a manager, and they made you ask these like certain questions. And one of them was, I always thought was kind of stupid, and I was like, these questions are stupid, but I gotta ask them because they make you ask them. And it was like, give me a scenario, it was something like this. Give me a scenario where you faced adversity and you overcame it, right? And I feel like the right answer to that, if you could say it, would be, I did a bodybuilding show one time, and on the surface you'd be like, hey, stupid, that's not, you're like, no, let me dive into that, let me explain, yeah. And then you can go into it and be like, look, this is what it takes. It takes pulling everything out of you that you got, everything out of you that you don't think you got to accomplish these things. And I'll tell people that with like during like a training session too, when they come in for a training session, I'm like, look, when we're training, like, it's not like friend Adam. Like, it's, I'm gonna take whatever you got, whatever that is, we're gonna find it. We're gonna reach in your soul and take what's there, and you're gonna find out what you're capable of by the end of this. And it's like you set it up the right way, and you can find what people are made of, and they're like, man, I wasn't doing anywhere I thought I could go. Like, I wasn't where I thought I could go. And I think with contest prep, you're like, man, I didn't know I could go there. I didn't know I could pull that out of myself, especially for that long a period, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I love seeing that in like the context of it, of like sports in our sport, because our sport is essentially that girl hobbling to do this amazing thing, but it's every day for 16 weeks, and it's just not as painful, right? Not as dramatic. It's just a slow piece of poison that we're taking every day, right? And at the end of it, you know, it's not so much to endure where we could take a big piece of poison and it doesn't kill us, right? It's like you're setting yourself up. It's a little bit every day for that big one, right? Because if you were to just do it right away, you'd die with that poison, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a stupid analogy, but I've heard people use it before. And it's like, it's just so cool to see people actually do it, and then the confidence they have after it. And it's like, if that person did a show and they did it right, and they didn't cheat on their diet, like, that is an amazing human. Like, that person can do pretty much anything they set their mind to.
True.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that was like, one of the famous things from like Ronnie Coleman, which, by the way, you're about to tie his record in wins.
We'll see.
hopefully. And, you know, he said when he won his first Olympia, one of his friends was like, so, like, they're all excited. He's like, and it was like the next day or something, and he goes like, so how many? Be real with me, Ronnie. Be real with me. How many times did you cheat on your diet? And he looked at him like, what are you talking about? Like, looked at him like he's crazy for even asking that question. He's like, no, seriously, man. Like, how many times did you cheat on your diet for this one? He's like, dude, it never even crossed my mind. It wasn't even a thought.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Like, it gives you chills to hear it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, he thought he was crazy for asking that question. Like, that's what he got to that point, right? I don't think anyone here like is there right now. I think some people are there right now, but I think in your first prep, you're not going to be there. But you're talking, you know, I don't know how many preps he did at that point. He won 26 shows, so probably quite a bit. Like, he got to the point where he was like, cheating my diet? What do you...
Yeah, like it's almost like a habit, like something, like taking a shower, you know,
Yeah.
but not cheating on your diet, it's something he never does. It's not even an option.
Yeah.
Not even a thought in his mind.
What a just, again, like a human marvel, right?
Yeah.
Just block everything else out to the point where it doesn't even exist, right? He's like, chocolate cake? He's like, doesn't even exist. Like, it's like, what are you talking about? Chocolate cake. Like,
wow.
It's pretty crazy to think about. It still gives me chills to like talk about that story, because it's like, man, it takes so much. But I guess I went off on a tangent there, but I was just like,
it's a good tangent.
Yeah, I just think it's such a beautiful thing we do, and there's a lot of like, I guess, personal growth that I've gone through with this whole sport too, that like makes me, I just love it, you know, like it's crazy. I don't know, it's crazy, because like there's all these things, like I go into these things quite a bit, and one of them was like, okay, when I was younger, I wanted to be the best possible, like the best, the biggest, the this, the that, right? And then I was like, okay, I'm climbing this mountain. I'm like, but then I asked myself, okay, what if I get to the top of the mountain and I don't like the view, right? And so for me, it was like, okay, I need to find what place of the mountain I want to be on. Where do I like the view the most, where I'm happiest? Maybe it's not the top of the mountain. You know, maybe that's the hardest to be at the top of the mountain. You know that. It's the hardest to be at the top of the mountain,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And like, I liked my view where I was at, where we weren't the biggest, where we weren't the this, like, where everything was, the community was there. And so, I don't know, for me, like, I know we're capable, but it was never, like, that's not the view, you know? I don't know, I'm going into something different, I think, here, but for me, it's like finding purpose in this, like, along with prepping myself and prepping and having a team and seeing how big, you know, you could get it if you wanted to. We could be twice as big if I wanted. But I like where we're at. I like the community of it. I like this, and we've accomplished purpose, right? That we found the purpose for what my personal goals are for us. And I think that everyone needs to like go through this. And when you go through these shows and you build that mechanism in your body where you're like, or in your mind where you're like, okay, I can do anything I want, but where am I happy? Where do I really want to be? What is this for? And it's a cool thing. I don't know. It's just such a beautiful thing, like our sport.
Yeah.
Because it really pulls the best out of people that they didn't even know they had, you know? So.
I think the best feeling is like surprising yourself and doing something you didn't know you were capable of doing. And I'll have those moments every once in a while too, through competing. Like that one time I prepped for my first show this year, and I like pushed it so hard on peak week, even though I never do that. I just did it because I was not prepared for it, and I just made so many great improvements for a week. I've had those before, or it might even be a show that I'm like, I never knew I could look this good, you know, despite any placing. We're talking like my own personal like critiques and opinions of myself. I just love surprising myself. And, you know, I think kind of going into like confidence versus like being people, I guess confusing a lack of confidence with being realistic as well. I feel like sometimes I have to explain myself, I guess my mentality oftentimes about how I go about like doing shows, just because if I just said it out loud without any like description, it would sound like I'm unconfident, but in reality I'm just realistic. Such as I say, I go into a show with no particular placing expectations. You know, I think a lot of people would assume that I would say, I'm gonna win the show. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't think that way at all. Just because I'm realistic and I know, you know, I'm gonna give my best. It's bikini, who knows? It's the most subjected out of all the divisions, and it's not like a race in track where it's like fastest wins, right?
Yeah.
It's not clear cut. There's a little bit of a room for opinion. How muscular is too muscular? How soft is too soft? And overall, like, opinion of what a bikini physique should look like. You know, of course there's guidelines and rules, but how you determine or rank them is up to the individual judging you. So I think like I always have to kind of describe myself or describe how I think and why I think this way. Otherwise people think I'm not confident or I'm just, you know, kind of lost, which I'm not. I know what I'm doing. I think I'm just a very realistic person, and I mean, it's good. It keeps me like down to earth and just keeps me like, you know, kind of in a realm where I'm not overestimating my abilities and not underestimating, like, because I always say, you know, it's one thing to meet your goal. That's a great feeling, but to exceed it is so much better. So if I always have the goal to come in and win, and I was convinced I'm going to win this show, no ifs, ands, or buts, then what happens if I don't? Then I'm just going to get frustrated. I'm going to get like down on myself. Whereas if I go in thinking, you know what? I'm going to give my best. For me, this is my best right now. I cannot control who shows up. I cannot control how it's going to be judged. The only thing I can control is myself. And you know what? Right now, this is my best. So let's do it. And as long as I go out there and I don't make any stupid mistakes, like I did at the Clash, then I'm pretty happy with myself. If I knew I gave my best and it shows,
Yeah.
you know, the only exception is making those stupid mistakes. But
Yeah.
other than that, I mean, I just feel like sometimes people think that just because you're not saying, I'm going to win this show, or I'm going to for sure, do this, it doesn't mean you're not confident. It's just, I don't know, I have a different mentality that goes about it. And, I think like for some reason the males tend to be more like in that mindset, like, no, I'm winning this show. Nope, I'm going to win it next week. You wait and see. Like, I don't know if it's just a me thing or I think more realistically.
With the males too, it's a little bit more clear cut.
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit, not in men's physique so much because then you can border on being too big too, but with like bodybuilding and specifically, like it's pretty obvious with bodybuilding. Like that last show at the New York Pro, like everyone knew who was winning that show. There was like no question. You know what I mean? Like it was like, and even this weekend when on the last show at the Cali Pro, it was pretty obvious who was going to win that show too. And so it was like, it's just a lot more clear cut, I think, in bodybuilding. Not when you're at the Olympia so much, because like it's, like unless you see, like there's only like a couple times where it was really clear cut for me, where like the Olympia was like, definitely Ronnie Coleman a few times, because Ronnie Coleman was just stupid, like completely insane looking, like sometimes. And then there was that one time, it was like when Jay Cutler came back and he did that quad stomp on stage, which is like famous. If you guys have ever seen Jay Cutler.
I know what picture you're talking about.
Yeah, it's called the Jay Cutler quad stomp, and it was like, look it up on YouTube, and it's just like, he comes out and he flexes his quad, like he stomps his leg, and like it's so much detail. It's so stupid looking. It's like an anatomy chart, but like we say that sometimes, it looks like an anatomy chart, but the guy's leg is small, so it's like an anatomy chart, but it's like the craziest amount of muscle. It should, like, your body shouldn't look like that. So he hits the quad stomp and the crowd goes nuts, and he just like completely dominates the show. So like that's one of the greater moments that like I've seen. But when it comes to like bikini, no one walks out and is like, oh, she's gonna win it right now. Like it doesn't really work that obvious in like the pro level. The amateur level is, you can see it sometimes, but the pro level is like, oh, like there's never really been a time where when you're like, even when you're winning a show, where I'm like, oh, for sure she's got it. Because it's always like, he could make the argument that she's too hard. Or, he could make the argument that her whatever.
Sometimes it's hard to tell until you start to see how they're placing us in call-outs and stuff. Yeah.
It's just not that way.
Yeah.
With bodybuilding, it's way more clear cut. Even with men's physique, it's pretty rare that it's that clear cut. Like people have to kind of mess up, like and be a little soft, and then someone has to come in like an Andre or something who's like shredded, and you're like, oh yeah, that's obvious. But it's, how often does that happen? I mean, even then you're like, oh, well, he's looks really good, but that guy's pretty big. Is he too big? It's always like kind of like that thing. So yeah.
But that's good to know. I mean, because it's like, I always get the question like, so you gonna win the show? And I'm like, well, I'm certainly gonna try. You better believe it. I'm giving it my all, and let's see what happens on show day. But I think even taking it away from this sport is, you can also apply that, because I'm just thinking back how I used to think in like track and stuff like that. But I thought of it more as like, I'm going to give it my all. Let's see if I win. But if not, you know what? I'm going to improve. I'm on my way up. This is just a step. I might not be where I want to be or I might not be where I finally want to be now, but I'm going to get there one day. Yeah. So, I don't know. I just have that different mindset. But I think it definitely kept me throughout the years like more mentally stable this way. And it really makes you enjoy all the little things. Just like you mentioned before, enjoying like those little things, like prepping and, I always say this, anytime I do win, definitely icing on the cake. But my most recent win compared to my first win, it's like the same feeling. It never gets old. And I think that's good to keep my body and mind guessing, because it's not like I'm just, oh yeah, I'm going to win the show. Yep, I won it. Yep, I'm going to win the show. No, I'm never expecting to.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to, you better believe. But I never have that assumption that just because I won 25 pro shows, I'm going to win this one. Never. I never look at a show and think like, oh, it's a smaller show. For those of you who are just listening, these are air quotations, smaller, because there really is no small show, really.
Yeah.
But even like, let's say I go into a show and nobody from this particular show has been top 10 at the Olympia. I don't think, wow, this is going to be easy. I never think that way, guys. Never, ever, ever. Like, because I know I was an underdog that came out of nowhere and just like surprised anybody. And that could be anyone. That could be you, know? So I don't know. That's just like my mindset about these types of things. Which I just want to clarify. It's not because I'm insecure or not confident. It's just I'm realistic. But you better believe I want to win for sure. Yeah, that's great. But even better is making improvements and noticing it yourself too.
Yeah, and you're improving still. I'm constantly improving, which is crazy to see. You know, you're still getting better, still getting better. Now, I think that's you brought up a good point there too, with people who kind of expect to win, and then the kind of the blow that it gives you when you don't. You know, so one of the things that I've experienced too as a coach, like not personally experienced, I guess witnessed, is when I'm working with an athlete and it's like their first show, and you get this a lot, and it's gonna kind of, I don't know if this will sound the best the way I'm gonna deliver it, but you'll have a girl who's always been told like basically yes her whole life, you know, like easy life, you know, prettiest girl in school, popular, cheerleader, all this, right? And she's like just yes, winning, positive, right, her whole life. And so she goes into this bikini thing. She's like, oh, this is perfect for me. It's basically fitness modeling, and I've always been good at a fitness model. I've always been the prettiest girl in school. I was on the cheerleading team, and everyone always liked me. The boys always liked me. The this or that, right? Everything's just, life's good for this girl, right? And then she gets on stage. This has happened to me a couple times. And then for the first time in life, because she didn't play any other sports or endure any losses and things like that, she hears, no, you're not good enough. You're 5th place. And then, like, it's like, what do you mean I'm not good enough? Like,
yeah, like the heart drop, like,
of course I'm good enough. I've always been good enough. I've always been the best, the prettiest, the this and that. And I think that's like, when you get into this sport, like, you do have to have that tough skin, because I've seen that girl happen multiple occasions where I'll say at least a couple times, like 2 I can think of for sure, where it was like, and they got off stage, they were like, I just don't understand any way I could have lost. And I'm like, I can explain to you 5 ways you could have lost, you know? So it's a hard thing for like people to understand. Like, you know, when you're starting this, it takes time. You got to mold it. You got to go through a few preps. You're gonna mess up a few times. It's highly unlikely you're just gonna go and win and win and win and win. Like, it's just not realistic for almost anyone. I mean, I don't know really many people who did that. You know, who like
everyone's lost.
Yeah.
At the Olympia on stage, every girl at some point has lost.
Yeah.
Maybe that second call out. There's some girls that are doing really well on the Olympic stage that's gotten 16th place before, like tied for last. Yeah. Like, I bet you those girls are the ones that are more mentally tough and just keep going and improving, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And that's what happened with a couple of those girls. They just quit. They just never went back to it again. And I'm like, man, you had so much potential. It's just, you got to have, I used to have this old general manager, and he told me, you have to have skin like a rhino and feathers like a duck. Like, you know, and I was like, I never really like fully understood it, but he was basically, you know, so let things just roll off your skin like water rolls off a duck's feather, or let things roll off your feathers like water rolls off a duck's feather, and have thick skin like a rhino, you know? And I was like, and that's this sport, you need that, and you need to have that confidence, because that's a big confidence blow. Yeah. To like get off stage and not do well when you were like at your best that you've ever been. Right. That's a hard thing to swallow, you know? Right. Totally. So, and it goes 2 ways, you know, I get 2 types, you know. I'll get people who don't message me at all. They don't check in for, you know, 2-3 weeks, and then they're like, a month that goes by, and they're like, okay, you know, I went through my whatever, but I need to get back in shape, like, and they'll be up like 20 pounds, and I'm like, what happened, you know, like, what's going on? Like, I'm messaging them, not getting a response, that type of thing. And then I get the people who are like, that night, I got 4th, what do I gotta do, you know? Yeah. And that's like, I'm like, well, start tomorrow. Yeah. That's it. Go eat a meal. We'll start tomorrow. You know, that's and there's just, you know, that's what it takes. You know, that's what it takes. I was actually talking to a girl this morning, and then she was like, well, some progress is better than no progress, and I was like, yeah, if that's the argument, but you're accepting mediocrity and justifying your crappy week, even though it was like 5% of the progress you should have made. That's not a champion's mindset. You know, that should be unacceptable. Mm-hmm. We should shoot for 100% your potential progress you should make every single week. Like, or don't shoot for it at all. Like, that, what's the goal? We don't reward mediocrity, you know? Like, whatever it takes to get to that 100%, if it didn't work, we do it again. And like, that's what it takes. And so I think you go through enough shows, you kind of build that tough skin and like that desire and that, no, that wasn't good enough mentality. And I think a lot of people go into this with the wrong mentality. Like they're like, oh, well, that was okay, it's pretty good. And I'm like, no, it's not what. But that's I guess the difference of like the mindset of someone who's like a pro and someone who's like, you know, just wants to do one type of thing, just kind of like a transformation type of thing. So and I think that I do get a lot of that. I get a lot of people who want to be pros but have the confidence of an amateur, right? To be a pro, you need the confidence and self-belief as a pro, or you'll never get there. You know, like you need to understand like mediocrity is not rewarded. You know, it's not. This is not the trophy for every person life. You know, that's not reality of this. And so I think that this goes along with that. Like this builds the confidence. It understands, okay, for me to get to where I want to get, I have to endure more pain. Like it's just the way it is, you know. And it's like, and when people get better at that and enjoying the suck and being like, okay, this is the end result, and for my current goal and for my purpose in life, right? This is all worth it. And if it feels like it's not, then you're not going to get there, you know.
Right.
So
I think another aspect of this as well is determining the difference between a lack of confidence and uncertainty, because I do think there is a difference. I think, for example, I will say, as I get closer to show, and Adam knows this, myself and a lot of competitors, most competitors will be like, one day you'll think, I'm not lean enough. And the next day, oh no, I'm too lean. The next minute, oh no, oh my gosh, I gotta have more carbs. Like just kind of like, not that I'm not confident, but just kind of like as you get closer, you want to be so precise and you want to like, you kind of get like a little distorted a little bit. Not that I ever think like I'm fat or anything like that. I don't think, it's none of that. It's more like I want to do my best. And in a way, you have to check me sometimes and be like, no, you're lean enough, you where you should be, or oh, we're too lean actually. And in my mind, I'm like, no, I'm not lean enough yet. You know, so I think there's that little like uncertainty factor as well, which doesn't mean I'm not confident. I just want to do my possible best. And sometimes it's just like, what? You know, am I not lean enough? Oh my gosh, it's a different climate. It's like for example, like if I'm in Hawaii, I'm like, I feel softer, but am I like, you know, so it's like that uncertainty factor. And I think people should definitely take a look and differentiate between the two as well.
Yeah. I think that's, I'm trying to think of anything to follow up with that, but no, I'm just thinking about the climate thing.
Oh, that was just one example, but there's many, like...
No, that's a good one, because we've been you run into that.
Yeah, or like Adam gave me 200 carbs. Oh my gosh, now in my mind I think I overdid it. Like, oh my gosh, am I soft now? And in reality it didn't happen like that. But it's just like as a competitor.
You've gotten better at that too.
Yes.
It's like eating more carbs.
Yeah. So like as a competitor, you're just kind of like playing little mind games with yourself sometimes. And not that I don't think I'm confident or not because I'm, you know, overweight or too skinny. Just more like I want to do my best.
You're pretty good at it.
What's my best? And I think that's when you get those girls too that will text you like 10 o'clock p.m. on a Sunday night. Oh my God, Adam, should I do 2 rice cakes tomorrow morning? I'm feeling flat right now, even though my show is like 2 weeks away. Oh my gosh, what should I do? You know what I mean? Just a little miniature freak out.
Yeah, we call it analysis paralysis, right?
Yeah.
So you're just constantly like looking and thinking and whatnot. Like that's the reason for the coach. You let them do the thinking for you, know?
That's why you need a good coach.
Yeah, it's hard, especially with bikini. It's hard because, you know, they want a fuller girl now, and, you know, before it was like they wanted like tighter girl, and you might think you look better tighter. The judges might think you look better fuller, and you kind of got to go with that, whatever the judges say, you know? So it's like, that's a hard thing to do, be like, okay, I'm not going to be my best, my leanest that I could be because they like me a certain way. And that's a few things, like you have a few top pros that they have to come in softer than they would even want to come in. If it was their choice, they like being more ripped, but they're not allowed to be more ripped, you know, type of thing. So it's kind of crazy how that even, you know, how it goes. Per person, it's going to be so different. So yeah, that's kind of a whole other thing too. The analysis paralysis and like the confidence of, okay, I know I'm bringing the best package that they want to see, even though I could be better, you know what I mean? In my opinion, be better, you know? So funny, we were actually at a seminar with Sandy the other day, and then she was like, and she made this point, which is really cool. She had 2 girls, actually it was the same girl, and she was in 2 different shapes, like 2 different conditions. And one of them, the girl was like shredded, had awesome tie-ins, had hamstrings were kind of striated, a little bit striated, and she looked really poppy. She was like super poppy. And then the other picture, she looked, you know, hamstrings weren't striated, a little fuller, glute tie-ins weren't as good, and it was bikini. And Sandy goes, who has the better physique? And everyone's like no one says anything. She's like, which one's the better physique? And I'm like, the girl on the right who's too lean and too muscular, this one has the better physique. But the girl on the left wins, right? That's how it goes. And then, you know, everyone kind of like...
It's like a trick question, right?
Yeah, she's like, you're right. Everyone can agree that this girl has a better physique, but for bikini, this is the better physique, like on the left, right? So it's kind of a cool thing to kind of show that, you know, it's a really good example of like, okay, you do have to hold back sometimes. You have to have the confidence to be able to do that. And I think that that's kind of a cool thing. That's like where the art form is, where it is, you know?
Yeah,
So,
and yeah, that's so true. It can definitely, in bikini, it can definitely mess with your head more than others because even judges have different like opinions of like what's too soft, what's too lean, and it goes way beyond even just that. So yeah, you just gotta just know that you gave your personal best, and if it's not what the judges want, see what they say. What can you fix, and what can you do better for next time?
Yeah.
Don't be too stubborn to not make improvements because you think you're already there. You think you know better than the judges or better than you coach, so you're just gonna do you, and then you're never gonna improve, right?
Yeah.
So you just get opinions from the people that know best. Going into another little aspect of confidence as well, I don't know if you ever experienced this as a male, but I've gotten like a few times throughout my life people questioning me that maybe I'm insecure because I am working out so much and dieting so much, as if it came from a place of insecurity. Like I didn't like myself before, so now I gotta go through this drastic transformation or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you get that as a guy. I don't know. I think for guys it's more like, it's kind of like comparable to like, oh, why does he drive such a nice car? He must be confiscated for something. You know what I mean? So I think like as a girl, I get that sometimes. Not often, but I do get it sometimes. And I don't think that's the case at all. Like, I treat my body really well. Like I mentioned, I love myself. Like, I know I have my flaws, but I also realize that no one is perfect. And at the end of the day, there is no one else that I would rather be. I swear. I love myself. I love my life. I love everything about myself. And I want to treat my body right in the best way I can possibly do that. And at the same time, have fun and be mentally satisfied as well with the sport. So it all kind of goes into it, you know? It's not just people that come from like I hate my body, I gotta change my body and become this bikini athlete. You know, I've gotten the whole like, you don't need to work out anymore, you're perfect just the way you are. You're perfect just the way you are. And I'm like, yeah, I know, whatever, I'm gonna be more perfect then, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? It's like that place of concern, like, oh no, you don't need to, you're perfect just the way you are, don't change a thing, you're fine, you're perfect.
I think that's their confidence thing issue, honestly. I think it's like people...
A projecting thing?
They're 100% projecting. That's the thing about like massive success, and you've had massive success in this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it sucks to say this out loud, but it's just the truth of things. Like, there are some people who are genuinely like proud of you and happy for you and this and that, and those people are awesome when they have good confidence. I think that those people are like, it's cool because they're like, I'll get coaches like that too, that are like that, and they'll be like, it's so cool what you're doing and how hard you're pushing it and this and that, like I want to do that one day, and they genuinely like admire it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, because they know what it takes, and it sucks, to be honest. Like, to get here, it can't even explain to you how much it took. If you've heard it in other episodes probably, but like selling my house, sleeping on the gym floor, like, it took so much to get here. And so those people are like, they're like super like, they're like, you know, I want to be there one day, and they're like genuinely happy for you. There's a good majority of them. But then there's the other people who will like project and like almost like need to put you down to make themselves feel better, or hold you back from being your best so they feel like they're getting closer to them. And it's just something that they're battling within themselves that they haven't been able to pull out of themselves. So casting any shadow on your success, or making you look crazy for working so hard, makes them feel better about themselves because they're not taking advantage of their time. They're you know, at home all day wasting 6 hours a day, which is the average amount of time people waste, which is pretty crazy. Wow. 6 hours a day. Jeez. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So like, and that's the thing, you know, and that'll be the same people. They're like, well, why are you pushing it so hard? Why are you doing so much? I'm like, yeah, it's like, well, no, why aren't you pushing so hard? Yeah. Like, you've wasted how much hours a day for how many days this year where you could have done something, you know? The average time, they did like a poll, and it was the average person is wasting 6 hours a day, which is crazy to think about, like where they could be managing their time better. You times that by like, if you just focus on something productive you could do and to make your life significantly better, there's no one, especially in the US, who could not take that time and make themselves just dramatically better with those 6 hours. But it's easier to say, Ashley, you're working too hard. Why would you do that? Adam, you're working too hard. Why would you want to do that? Why do you need to have this? Why do you need to have that? You know, and it's like, it's not about the need, man. The need stopped a long time ago.
Right.
You know, you don't need 50 wins. Who needs it? You know what I mean? I don't need a contest prep center. It's pointless. It's just because it's just about growing and being your best. It's not about needs. You know what I mean? And it's like people, I think that's where the problem is, and where the whole confidence issue is too. And it's like, being your best and living with purpose is to me is the meaning of life, period. You know, I don't know, I really can't think of any other meaning of life besides living with purpose. And for bodybuilding, it gives a lot of people purpose, you know? It gives a lot of people that like daily thing to do. Like, what if like all of a sudden fitness tomorrow was done? Like, what would both of our purposes be? I'd be like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, this is the purpose. Like, this is it. It gives me a daily thing to wake up for. I think about it when I go to sleep. I think about it when I wake up. It's on my mind nonstop, but I can't control it. It's probably a problem. but I love it, and it gives me just the satisfaction of living, really. Like, you know, like it's funny because like the only times I ever like get down is like this weekend we didn't have any shows. We had like, I didn't really promote the team lift this week or anything, so we had like kind of a crappier turnout. We had like 4 people on that during the posing, and like a few during the team lift. I was like,
and I was gone, done.
Yeah, you're good. That's right. And I was like, this sucks. I can't wait till work to start on Monday. I worked out twice. I tell you, I worked out twice yesterday. I didn't do anything. I worked out twice, and then I was like, can't wait for Monday to start to work. It gives me purpose. I don't know, but yeah, no, those people who do that, they're gonna cast shadows on you. They're gonna project their weakness onto you, so you're more like them, and you're not excelling at the rate that they can't conceive because they're not willing to put in the work. You know, so like. That's a sad thing, honestly. To me, it's kind of a gross thing when people like do that. Yeah,
and they do it in disguise too, as if they're concerned for you. So it's almost like a backhanded compliment or something, or being
along the same lines. Yeah.
What's the phrase I'm looking for? I would know this if I wasn't so jet lagged.
I'm not sure.
But it's like it has a double meaning, basically. Okay. What appears to be something nice, they're being nice. Oh, Adam, you don't need to do that. Is actually it's disguising another issue itself. Yeah. And that issue is negative.
For sure. No, it's
whoever knows that phrase, please put it. It's gonna drive me crazy for me. Put it below.
Yeah, no, it's what it is. You know, 10% what it is.
Yeah.
It's a sad thing because it happens all the time where people just try to keep you down, you know? Right. And that's the thing is like, and I talked about this before, and I've talked about this I've even like told other coaches this too, like they're so focused on all these other coaches doing things, like they're so focused on it. And I'm like, dude, I just sit in my office and I do my own thing, and whatever everyone else does, they do. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I hope they're all growing. But like, there's 2 ways to build the biggest building, right? You can have a building and then tear everyone else's building down, which is a lot of work, right? And by default have the biggest building. Or you can just focus on your own building, which is the easiest thing, and just build it as big as you want. However is good. I don't even want the biggest building. I want like a medium-sized building. Right. I don't want, and I told everyone too, the coaches, I'm like, we're not gonna hire any more coaches. This is the number of coaches we're gonna have. We're never gonna have more than this. Mm-hmm. And everyone's going to be doing well, everyone's going to be thriving, the community's going to be great, this is as big as we need to be, never bigger. And so, that's the thing, is like people see your building growing and they're just like, they want to tear it down. Right. So you're closer to the same size as their building. True. And it's like such a sad thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a mindset of them, because maybe even they're not a direct competitor of you, maybe they're not even into fitness. But even if you're not in the same like genre of work or whatever, you should still be able to relate in some way. Like, for example, chess player, maybe somebody is super passionate about chess and they do that for a living and they sit down and play chess like 6 or 7 hours a day. Now, I know I could never do that. I hate sitting down that long. I'm just like, whoa, but I can respect the passion. Yeah. I can respect that. I see like this person is giving it their everything. This is what they wake up for. This is like on their mind constantly, and they love what they do, and this is what makes them happy. So I would never go out and criticize them. Yeah. I can relate to them, but obviously I know that's not for me. I could never do that. And I just feel like a lot of people will make you feel like an alien that don't have that mindset, that don't have like the always got to be better, always got to be focused doing this, and it's passionate for you, and you got to keep working towards whatever your goal is. But some people are just like okay with it's like the whole let's celebrate being mediocre kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's just live an easy, relaxing life where we just watch TV 4 hours a day, and we go to work for a few hours, maybe come home, go out on the weekends, go drinking, and do it all over again.
Yeah.
You know, and then people make you feel like an alien for being more than that, or being something outside of the box, and they will make you feel like an alien in a way that they're like, oh God, you're still dining? Oh, that's miserable. Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how can you do that?
Yeah.
Wow, you should really take a break sometime. You know,
live your life. Yeah.
Like, yeah, why are you competing again? Like, gosh, don't you think you want enough? It's fine. Like, just chill out. And it's like, no, I won't. So just embrace being an alien. If they make you feel like an alien, start questioning them. And I'm like, okay, so what makes you happy? What makes you passionate about life? What do you wake up for? What drives you? What's your goals? Start asking them those questions, because I bet you they're gonna have a hard time answering it.
Yeah.
Because they're very weak-minded.
Yeah.
Weak-minded people. You don't have to tear somebody else down, but they do it in the worst way that they, like I said, they hide it by this shield of niceness. Oh my God, you don't need to do that. Give yourself a break. You're fine where you need to be. You know, there's more to life than just competing. You know, there's more out there that you can do.
You can like what?
Like have
going
kids
out
or
with kids, going drinking go out with your friends. Like how? Like it's like that's not like you can still do that stuff without not competing. Like it's funny. Yeah, it is. You're right. It just stems down to confidence. So anyway, I think with that we're good.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
It's a good one.
I would say.
Yeah.
Well,
segue.
riled up from that.
Yeah, right. Ashley's Riley right now. I like it. She's a week out from a show.
Yes, I'm surprised, and I'm really jet lagged too. Like that workout was hard, but you know what? Whenever you're passionate about something,
yes,
the energy comes. So.
All right. Well, with that, guys, thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.